I did indeed say in the fall of 2020 that Joe Biden would never be sworn in. I didn't say he wouldn't be sworn in. I doubt I said he wouldn't. In any case, he wasn't sworn in, but I said that the Patriots would never let the deep state take back control. I said that in a webcast, and that Trump was going to 100%. I said it was a response to Danny Turcotte from Tout le Monde en Parle. Back then, I said it's 100% that Trump remains president. And that's what happened, 100% that Trump remains president. So once again, the people posting stuff saying Alexis was wrong about the Biden term. I was absolutely not wrong at all, quite the opposite. It's like, can you imagine just how truly visionary I was? It's exactly the opposite. It is absolutely impossible to say who on earth could have predicted the fact that, well, I myself didn't predict that there would be a continuity of government, but that Trump would absolutely never, ever let go of his power, even if the Democrats didn't win, no matter what happened. And that's exactly what went down. Right here you have, for example, after the inauguration, Joe Biden didn't actually get sworn in, okay? That's one thing, first of all. You have to go back to all the webcasts I showed a bit earlier. When Joe Biden walked through Washington, there were all these troops turning their backs on him in absolute disrespect. His inauguration, normally, his inauguration did not take place at 12 o'clock noon. Normally, it is at noon sharp. That the term of office of the last president ends. And he places his hand on the Bible at noon sharp without any exception at all. It is always at noon sharp that the new president puts his hand on the Bible, because until noon, the other president is still in office. So it's at 12:01 that you put your hand on the Bible. But Joe Biden put his hand on the Bible at 11:47. Joe Biden was sworn in as the 46th president of the United States on January 20th at 11:47. Which actually makes that invalid because Trump is still in office. So no, there is absolutely no exception to the exact time, Grok tells us. There has never once been an exception by any president to the exact time. After that, as soon as he has been officially sworn into office, a 21-gun salute is fired in the park located right next to the Capitol. And here, this right here, is the image of the 21-gun salute for Trump during his inauguration. That's in 2017. You can see the Capitol in the back. So that is the 21-gun salute for Trump. And you can indeed find the video in which you will be able to see the 21-gun salute in its entirety. Joe Biden did not actually receive the 21-gun salute at all. The only thing that they showed us was something like 7 gunshots in Arlington Cemetery. But the Arlington Cemetery is not actually located in DC, and the 21-gun salute absolutely has to be, even if it is not done traditionally, thank you, in the park next to the Capitol, like here, normally. But by law, it has to be within DC. If you cannot do it right there next to the Capitol, you can do it in a park further away, but it still has to be inside Washington, DC, in the District of Columbia. But Arlington Cemetery, if you look right here, I went and actually looked it up. You have the Capitol in blue. And then after that, there's the Potomac flowing through Washington. On one side, you have the District of Columbia, and on the other side, that's the state of Virginia. And Arlington Cemetery is located in Virginia. It's not even in the District of Columbia. So the 21-gun salute is illegal, and there's one, wait, there weren't 21, there were 7. And those shots were actually fired over in the District of Virginia. And then there was also this general, there are tons and tons of details like that showing that Joe Biden was indeed not properly sworn in any way, shape, or form. According to the rules, according to the Constitution of the United States on January 20th, 2021, right here we have got General William Walker, William J. Walker, who is one of the generals of the Washington National Guard, who has stated on television that absolutely everything is going well, and he is expressing his thanks to everyone, and that we are indeed going to be having a completely peaceful transition of our control directly over to the military power. That is the continuity of government. Because Trump stepped back and there was a continuity of government under military control. And so I'm showing you this. Transition to military rule. That's at the end of the clip.
Start out by saying what the current threat level is. Do you have what you need in place to counter it?
Who have come in from all 50 states and territories to help support the Secret Service and the police departments with a peaceful transition of military power.
with peaceful transition to military powers. One civil administration to another. It's from a civil administration to a military power. Get that into your heads, add it all up. There's a lot. I can't do a web journal. I can't do a web journal just on that. There is, in early 2020, when Trump realized they were trying to impeach him with COVID, with this pandemic, to change the voting rules, to allow voter fraud, to push him out because he's an existential threat to the deep state and transnational crime syndicates, banking cartels, etc. When they tried to push him out with COVID, because COVID was about pushing Trump out, he actually created 7 ultra-secret continuity of government programs that the Democrats tried to get and that the Democrats never got. They never got the classified documents that those 7 continuity of government programs were based on. And there's the article here talking about it right here. Inside the military's top secret plans, if coronavirus cripples the government, inside the military's top secret plans, if coronavirus decapitates the government. But Trump knew it was just a flu. So Trump knew it was just a flu. He sets up, in the article, he says, these are the most substantial continuity of government programs in US history at the start of COVID, because he knew, one, that they were using with the NSA and with intelligence capabilities, they knew exactly what the plan was. Meaning creating a fake pandemic, rigging the election, putting in Joe Biden, and I've already explained this since he was frail, replacing him at the last minute with Michelle Obama. Joe Biden's strength was that he was fragile and could be replaced at the very last minute, like say 3 weeks before the election, by a super candidate. But Trump did, we explained all that. I'll just leave that aside. I'll leave that aside. I'm talking too fast here, but that's because there's so much information. And so he knew that the plan was to rig the election and also to have a color revolution against him with the assault on the Capitol, etc., a bipartisan effort, because there were traitors inside the Republican Party, just like the Democrats, and people inside the Democratic Party, and people inside the Republican Party who were against Trump and who were going to stab him in the back if he tried to call out the election fraud. The media was going to announce the election of Biden or Obama. And then it would be completely impossible for Trump to go against the media and say, no, 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 I have won, because those corrupt judges were going to certify the election. The governors, even the corrupt Republican governors, were also going to certify the election, and Trump was going to find himself completely all alone. So the only way to not lose power to the deep state was to set up a continuity of government program, which is what he did. And right here in time, you have this explanation of the secret history of the shadow campaign that saved the 2020 election, which explains the bipartisan effort, Democrat and Republican, in order to get rid of Donald Trump. We have already spoken about this before. That is the very reason why Trump appointed Chris Miller, the head of counterterrorism operations, to be the Secretary of Defense during the transition, meaning after the election. He was appointed precisely to set up the continuity of government structures and so on. Chris Miller, who during the course of a conference, which I believe took place in December 2020, personally thanked Mike Pence for having been an absolutely invaluable support during the implementation of the most complex military operations that have ever been carried out in the United States or by the United States. Even though there was no war, the most complex military operations ever carried out in the United States. It's the continuity of government program and the gathering of evidence for high treason trials and so on. There's not just that. There are the executive orders that Trump signed. There are executive orders as early as 2018, like Executive Order 13-848, which imposes sanctions in case of interference. Foreign interference in the US electoral system, which in turn establishes a state of emergency. If there happens to be any foreign interference in the elections of the United States, it automatically triggers a state of emergency, a formal national emergency. And finally, it was confirmed by Ratcliffe, his CIA director. He wasn't the CIA director. I think he was the director of national intelligence, the job Tulsi Gabbard has now. It was confirmed by Ratcliffe that US intelligence services claim Iran and Russia tried to interfere in the elections. And so that triggers Executive Order 13-848. Executive Order 13-848 is effective with respect to sanctions in the case of election interference. And also the formal declaration of a national emergency mixed with the continuity of government programs. There were other executive orders too that he signed on December 7th, 2020, which is to say after supposedly losing the election. Executive Order 13,961 on governance and integration of federal mission resilience, which precisely strengthens the entire structure of continuity of government. Following right after that, there is also the fact that Joe Biden himself, in his capacity as president, resigned and did not challenge this particular executive order. He didn't erase it at all. If Joe Biden were controlled by the Obamas and the deep state, he'd have erased that executive order on government continuity. He would have also. That executive order here, 13-848, had to be renewed every 2 years. It lasted all the way up until the year of 2021. And Joe Biden, who was acting just like a good controlled candidate, renewed it on 2 separate occasions. I think it was in 2022 or 2023, and then once more. That is, if the deep state was controlling Joe Biden, why would the deep state have Joe Biden sign continuity of government programs that favor Trump, put in place by Trump, when the elections, if Joe Biden is a product of election fraud, why is he signing executive orders that give extraordinary powers to the military, the Treasury Department, etc., to have in case of election fraud? It doesn't make any sense at all, you see? The only way it makes sense is that Joe Biden was actually a puppet of the Patriot camp who let a lot of things happen under Biden. So many things have happened, including treason and so on. But what could possibly be better than letting them believe that they are in the shadows to plan, to scheme? And now, since you control the executive branch, which was part of a government continuity program, you can know what everyone is saying, and then you spy on them. You can know about all the betrayal, what everyone is saying, what everyone is doing. All of those traitors who believed that they were completely safe under the Biden presidency were actually being spied upon by the very patriots. And now they have everyone's names. They are completely compromised. It's exactly what I would do. I mean, it seems to me that's exactly what I would do, and you too, for that matter. And there are also all those times on 2 or 3 occasions we saw Trump giving speeches right out of the president's playbook, you know. And it's not just that, like I say at the beginning of this web journal, he shows it. The goal is to show, like he says, he explains the reverse psychology strategy. He is showing it with his tweet, like, I have been here for 3 terms now. He is showing how things actually are. It is only the fools who wouldn't understand that. He would never, ever do such a thing. It's like a 3-cushion billiard game. He's showing it. And so this right here is the president's briefcase. It's from these briefcases right here that the president signs his executive orders to. You have the presidential logo, and it also says at the bottom, if you look closely, the president. And so he delivers his speeches from right there, and that is illegal. It is called illegal use of the seal of the President of the United States. It's punishable by, I think, 6 months in prison. If the Democrats could have prosecuted him for that. Why didn't they? Why make up all these stories about sexual assault when you can so easily prosecute him for using the official seal of the President of the United States? If he's not the US president and he's using the seal of the President of the United States, he goes to jail. And this here, this is, you see, this is the kind of binder you can buy, the kind you can buy in the White House gift shop. When you go to visit the White House gift shop, you can buy this exact same kind of binder. But this one here says the president, and you see he actually uses it during his speeches. And all of that is not even counting the very fact that after the fake assassination attempt of summer 2024, it's a fake assassination attempt, once again, for the reasons we've explained here. Everyone saw that his ear was absolutely fine. That was like 2 weeks after it happened. There wasn't even a single scratch left on his ear. He wore a little bandage after that at the Republican convention, but in the end, there was nothing. All the Democrats know that it was a fake assassination attempt and that his ear was fine. There was even a journalist who asked him, how is it possible that your ear is intact? And then, you see, these are people saying, it's not possible. Look at the ear. There's not even a single scratch, nothing. The guy's 80 years old. He should have some kind of mark. He said, he answered that by saying, I heal very quickly. And so I invite you to look at all of the arguments about that first fake assassination attempt, this one right here, JSOC in the breast, because all of that is explained in great detail. He is a director. He's developing an attention strategy. I explained once again in 2024 during the campaign, with all kinds of things happening in 2024, threat relaxation. There was a second assassination attempt back then. This is the second assassination attempt. There was stuff happening at the rallies with gas and all. There was a really tense atmosphere. I had explained to you in that web journal I did with bad lighting and a bad mic on the road. I had already explained to you that the strategy of tension worked to the direct advantage of the Trump camp. It's like the mugshot. Trump indicted, it's to his advantage. These assassination attempts, they are to his advantage. It is to his advantage. Political exploitation, the tenderness is beginning to light up, but he won't go quite as far as Marjorie Taylor Greene, who claims that the very first assassination attempt was indeed just a fake. A fake, she said. There was nothing, no ear injury, nothing. And so then 2 weeks before this assassination attempt, to add even more fuel to the fire of these conspiracy theories, because Trump actually shows all of this particular kind of stuff. It's like he wants an informed audience of intelligent people. It's like he can't tell you, he can only show you. So, and that is not even counting. During the last assassination attempt back in 2024 at Butler, the director of the Secret Service I actually showed the clip back then. Kimberly Cheetle was being interviewed in Congress. There was an exchange with Congressman Fallon. I think it's not Fallon, it's not Jimmy Fallon, I don't remember his first name. And she had indeed been asked, Fallon had specifically asked her whether or not there is any kind of difference between a currently sitting president and candidate Trump when it comes to their security. Do the two candidates in the race, there was Biden and Trump, the two candidates in the race, do they actually have the same security measures in place to protect them? And then she gives her answer. The clip is not in HD, but the audio quality is okay. The HD clip, I have it somewhere. You'll see the 2024 episodes. I showed the almost 5-minute clip in full so nobody could accuse me of cutting anything out. The context is, she says that there is a difference between a government in office and the continuity of the government. There's a difference between the security of a sitting president and the continuity of government.
The venue.
My question is, if he'd been the sitting president, would he have had the same security he had on July 13th, or would have been beefed up?
There is a difference between the sitting president.
So your answer is he didn't.
And continuity of government and the responsibility.
So he did not. Okay, there wasn't a cat team.
There's a difference between a sitting president and continuity of government. So in the end, I showed the clip back then because it confirmed what I was saying. It is not the Secret Service that is the one responsible for the security of Donald Trump, not back in 2024 and not even right now. The people responsible for President Trump's security, that's JSOC, guys from the Special Forces, the Joint Special Operations Command. It's like way more sophisticated. They're the world's leading experts in policing, close protection. These are people who have spent 10 years in Afghanistan avoiding attacks, traps, and assassinations, protecting high-value targets, HVTs. It's not some chubby lady who could barely pull her gun out, not at all. We had shown all of that back then. So yeah, all of this is really just to say that she does indeed confirm the continuity of the government. So you see, Joe Biden was never actually sworn in. He didn't even fly into Washington on board Air Force One. Remember that, he didn't even fly in. It's the first time since there's been an Air Force One that a president arrives for his inauguration on an unlisted plane. He had to rent a private plane in order to get here. Air Force One was not made available to him. He had not actually been officially sworn in yet. He wasn't sworn in on time. He didn't get a 21-gun salute. People turned their backs on him. He wasn't sworn in. The 21-gun salute didn't happen in the DC district. We have General Wilkins here. William Walker, who says transition to military power. You basically have documents. We do not have access to the actual documents. Let us be completely clear, but there are enough elements that allow us, especially from what he says, this is my third term, this is my third term, I'm in my third term. He's speaking with the logo, using the president's logo, etc. etc. He was just joking around like in 2026, right at the very beginning of January, maybe I should go for a fourth term because he has already done 3. Maybe he should do a fourth one. You surely already have more than enough, unless you are really dense. Unless you are stubborn and just like completely close-minded, as you could well say, there is enough information to make you understand that there was a continuity of government program which Europeans are just not able to grasp. From Sorrell to Indy to whatever, all the others on the panels, they're just not able to grasp that there was a continuity of government program and that Trump is like way more intelligent than he lets on. What he actually lets people believe, okay? So that's for the question of continuity. So that was today, so he's showing it once again. I passed this test with flying colors 3 times during my 3 terms. He repeated it this week. So you wanted a briefing on continuity of government. That is just about half of what I could present. It is really just the most obvious stuff. And then after that, there's like, we can go into detail there. But normally it should just be the statement from the head of the Secret Service, Cheetle, who says there's a difference between a sitting president and continuity of government, which relates to our responsibilities. That's the ultimate admission. Continuity of government is a system like that, where you have the president, the Secretary of Defense, and then after that, you have a chain of command. And right here, we do not know exactly what happened. What were the actual functions of Donald Trump in all of this? It's probably the fact that his first term was never finished since there was election fraud, foreign interference, and so on. National emergency, threat to national security, the Constitution was, etc. It's probably something like that. And besides, what I claimed, for example, that there wouldn't be a third world war between the US and Russia. When I say no war in Ukraine, I was obviously talking, I've explained it several times. If you listen to the entire webcast from January 30th, 2022, I'm talking about the United States. The US is not sending troops, etc., etc. If the deep state had actually controlled Biden, well, the Europeans would have had the war they wanted in Ukraine. Macron could have finally sent ground troops because that was the whole idea. It was about starting a conflict. That's what they want. We know the Europeans are raring, chomping, raring. Is that it, chomping at the bit? Because they want to go, they want to give equipment, they want to send ground troops, they want to escalate the conflict. They could have, if the system, as I explained back in 2022, yes, I explained those things again in an absolutely brilliant way. I shouldn't say that, but it's like the system is locked. And so if the system hadn't been locked and Joe Biden had actually been a creature of the deep state, there would have been European troops, boots on the ground, like regular units of the French army that would have gone there, and from Germany, from England, who would have gone over there, and where they could have given that with Joe Biden. They controlled NATO now, and it was the deep state controlling NATO. They could have actually included Ukraine in NATO and triggered Article 5 and forced NATO to go to war directly against Russia. And at that point, we would have had World War III. But absolutely none of that happened because Joe Biden was controlled by the Trump camp. You actually have got proof, as I have shown in that thing. You have proof after that that you can easily deduce from actions that did not actually happen. Happened that the international system was completely locked. Just as I have said, the entire international system was locked. The Patriots would have never, ever bothered to hand over the executive branch to the deep state, knowing that the deep state only wanted World War III. They would have never taken that chance. So they set up a continuity of government where Biden was controlled instead of etc.